been playing Bravely Default Flying Fairy HD Remaster on the Nintendo Switch 2, and in today's video I want to give you my thoughts and feelings of what I've been experiencing so far, so I'm hoping you can join me in that journey. So with that all being said, what is up guys, Jen here, hope you're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. As always, got your covered with timestamps in the description, so if you want to skip to a certain section, feel free to do so. All I ask is you support the video and hit that like button, and if you want to stick around for some more RPG content, then please consider hitting that subscribe button, and of course get involved in the comments and let me know your thoughts of Bravely Default. So, a brief history of my experience with Bravely Default before we dive in, so you can get a bit of perspective of my thoughts and feelings that I'm going to get into. So I played Bravely Default back on the 3DS, and I thought at the time I got pretty far into it. I never rolled credits, and I was remembering it, and I was like, yeah, I remember getting the airship, so it must have been pretty far into the game. But as I've replayed it here on the Switch 2, you get that airship very early in the game, so I'm treating this as a first time playthrough. Of course, for those that don't know, this is a remaster of the first game in the Bravely series. A lot of people may consider this is Final Fantasy, but in name, and to be fair, I agree, it is definitely feeling classic Final Fantasy. So let's start off with the story of Bravely Default without going into any spoilers and give you my thoughts on that. Allow me to give you a brief synopsis of what to expect. The world of Luxembourg is plunged into chaos when a great chasm tears the earth apart. 4 elemental crystals that bring light into the world are consumed by darkness, and it brought disaster to the world as a result. The game starts with a young man named Tears, whose life is torn apart when his village is swallowed by the chasm. Before long, he meets Agnes, a Vestal who has dedicated her life to tending to the crystals. Together they set off on a journey to close the chasm and free the crystals, unaware of the true significance of their goal. And yeah, it does sound like I'm giving you a classic Final Fantasy synopsis. We have Warriors of Light, we have 4 elemental crystals of which are very heavily involved in the story, and we've got a cast of characters that we meet along the way. And to be fair, I'm enjoying the story, I'm really liking the voice acting, all of the things in between, because not only do we get cutscenes between the characters at certain intervals, we have something called party chat, so at certain parts of the game or maybe certain things that you do, you have the option and you get to see the interaction with the characters a little bit more. And as the game goes on, the relationship between the 4 and how they approach the world definitely gets better and better, and I'm really excited to see how this all concludes. Let's briefly talk about the graphics, because we're moving from the Nintendo 3DS to the Nintendo Switch 2. The Nintendo 3DS had 2 screens, the Switch 2 has 1, and they've done a really good job of redoing the interface, bringing all of these beautiful backgrounds, because Bravely Default back in the day and still to this day is known for those painted backgrounds that when they zoom out look absolutely glorious, and then when you move it zooms back in, but everything's nice and sharp and everything runs smoothly here on the Nintendo Switch 2. Don't ask me about specifics and numbers, but it runs really good. So let's talk about the gameplay. A common trait you'll hear as I'm talking about this is a classic Final Fantasy all but name. And that's because it kind of follows the traits of what the first 6 Final Fantasy games brought to the table. So we're visiting towns, we're upgrading armor, and we're going on to a world map that's just absolutely glorious to traverse and find all these new locales and hidden dungeons and everything else in between. The pacing has been great, and exploration has been quite rewarding. So there are hidden items in towns. You have to go to little nooks and crannies to inspect and maybe find a potion, or maybe you'll find a weapon that benefits you. But then when we go to the dungeons have chests. Some of them are in hidden passages that really remind me of when I was trying to find all of the treasure in games like Final Fantasy 4 and 5, and they were hidden to the fact that they didn't have visible paths to get to them. Luckily, there is an ability for the freelancer, of which we'll get into jobs in a second, of where you can keep tabs on how many treasure chests are in a dungeon. I would like something that would let me know if there's any items still in towns. Maybe that's an ability I haven't unlocked yet, but exploration is a absolute treat here. I definitely think you should spend time speaking to all the NPCs to get the lore of the world, and maybe they can point you in the right direction of where you might need to go. But with the visible map and the markers and everything else that it brings to the table, I don't think you'll be getting lost anytime soon. But I do advise just making the most out of exploration in Bravely Default, because it's really damn good. So let's move on to the combat, and I'm going to say that, hey, we're going to talk about jobs here as well and just blend it all into one. This introduces the Brave and Default battle system, so essentially you can Brave to get more turns, but then using those 4 turns means you need to wait until you have that Brave meter back to where it needs to be to use more attacks, or you can default and store them and then unleash them without having to worry about missing turns. So it's a very risk and reward battle system, and it's one I truly love. It's definitely ranks at the top for battle systems when I'm looking at other battle systems like traditional turn-based ATB systems, even Octopath's system of storing power. This definitely ranks at the top for me because it adds another layer. A normal random encounter just isn't a normal random encounter. It can be approached a little bit differently. Maybe you can get into a rhythm and get the random battles down as quick as possible, but especially when it comes to boss fights, there is a lot of thinking involved, like, should I waste 2 turns here and get everyone healed up and just be able to miss the 2 turns? Will I be alright? Or shall I default here and get more defense so I can take the big hit that's about to come? There's a lot of things that get into thinking it, and it ever so expands when it comes to the job system. But before we get to that, there's more things here that make battles for me even more rewarding and just fast and snappy. And something I should have mentioned at the beginning of the video is I don't know what's a new feature and what isn't. I'm sure you guys will correct me in the comment section down below, but I like the fact that we can speed up battle to 4 times speed. I like the fact that we can set auto attacks to a certain loadout. So let's say if I'm unleashing as much damage as I can, and I know that it will work against a random mob of enemies, I can make sure that that set of attacks is set for my auto attack and it will go ham. And that's really good. And once you get into that method of the madness, it's really, really rewarding just being able to get through those random encounters with those auto battle loadouts that you set. I've experienced many deaths as well where I've had to go back to the drawing board. Maybe I need to change a few jobs here and there. It's just a great battle system and very engaging, and it really brings that traditional turn-based that some people might go back and play some of the classics and find quite boring, but brings a lot to the table that makes it rewarding and very fun to play. Now, the job system is something I absolutely love. I'm a big fan of Final Fantasy V, and if you like Final Fantasy V, Final Fantasy III, anything where you've had the option to use jobs, then Bravely Default is definitely a game you want to play because there's so many jobs here, there's so many mixing and matching. It works a lot like Final Fantasy V, where you can carry on abilities that you've learnt to another job, and as you get further into the game, you can mix and match more and distribute more points here and there. It's just a great job system, and it's one I'm having fun with. Usually when I have a job system that I'm messing around with, I'm pretty set in my ways, but here with Bravely Default, I'm constantly mixing and matching. And for example, I set Ring a Bell as a monk, and then I realized, hey, some of the perks that the monk gets here increases damage. Tis could really benefit from having some of those, so I'll switch Tis to a monk temporarily so I can get those abilities and then convert back to one of my favorites, the Dark Knight, so I can make sure that I'm as powerful as I can be. It's the same when it comes to the mages and the Spellblade, like mixing and matching abilities to really customize your party is great here. That's about everything when it comes to the battle system for me. You can set encounter rate settings. So for example, you have it as 100% straight off the bat, but you can go down to 50 and halve it, or you can go up to 150 and 200. Heck, you can even unlock 400 and having no encounters whatsoever as you progress through the game. I think it's great just to, for example, if you were retreading ground of an old dungeon because you missed a chest, you can turn those encounters off. Or if you found a really good grinding spot and you've got your auto battle settings set perfectly, you can turn that straight up to like the max and grind away and get those levels up as fast as possible. So a few extras I want to talk about before we wrap up here. There is a system where you are rebuilding Tiz's village. This is great for getting new items and things for your special attacks that we didn't really touch on, but essentially you get special attacks and you can customize what they do. They can poison, they can do more damage, they can do more damage against beast enemies, etc, etc, and the same for healing based special abilities as well. These are all obtained through this rebuilding of Tiz's village. And essentially on your journey, whether you've got friends on your Switch 2, I think it worked through Street Pass on the 3DS, but here you go into towns and every couple of hours these characters that look like ghosts with like petals flying around them will appear, go up to them and they will add to your village. You just naturally gain these as you play through the game, and then you have to dedicate time to rebuilding a shop or getting more stock or clearing the area to unlock more shops. And it's a great feature for a shop that you'll come across in towns and in dungeons, and your inventory will just get bigger and bigger and really benefit you as you hit towards the end game. One thing I really like is the journal. There is so much in here, so much lore, so much kind of just discovery. I like completion lists. Like, I really want to make sure that I've got all the items at 100%, all of the weapons at 100%. Maybe I'll do a video revisiting this once I get 100% in everything. There is tutorial quests, which I absolutely love the way they are implemented. Essentially, it'll get you to just discover the game and reward you for doing that, and you might learn something new, whether it's learning how to use the auto battle or just changing something in the menu. There's also in-game achievements, which is great for those that want to really complete this and check everything off. And there's a bestiary. I bloody love bestiaries. Intertwined with the online features, I should have really mentioned this in battle, but we'll just roll with it. You can recruit friends that you have on your friend list or just randomers that you come across when you're collecting villagers for the rebuilding of Tiz's village, and you can use them for battle with a one-off attack. It's a great feature and adds to the mix of stuff. And then there's some extras here. We have the mini games, and I was kind of looking at this thinking like, you know what, yeah, I like it. They're getting in with the gimmick of the Switch 2 here with the mouse and everything else in between, but to be fair, I'm really enjoying it. I did this on stream, had a blast, and I've been playing it loads because you do get some really good and unique rewards for doing it, and it's just a good time because you get to listen to the fantastic soundtrack, and there isn't much I need to say about that except this is absolutely glorious. I love just traversing the world map and listening to the world map theme. I love getting into battles. All of the music in Bravely Default is absolutely incredible, and it's well worth the listen. And that is everything I have to talk about today. The ultimate question I guess you're asking is, do I need to get a Switch 2 for Bravely Default? I think it's one of the reasons you should get a Switch 2. I don't think it should be the sole reason, but if you've got a Switch 2, I think you need to get Bravely Default. I can't say it much simpler than that. It has been a great experience to be able to just play this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys talk about in the comments, because Bravely Default is an incredible RPG and more people need to play it. I appreciate your time. Thank you for listening, and until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.